Hey everybody, Invisible Katana here. Welcome to the stream. Today we are playing some Days Gone. Really a simple, more of a just chatting stream. I have officially beaten the game, story mode at least. There's apparently some extra content to explore. This is probably gonna shut right off. Oh, it faded out. I don't know what the deal is with this fading out issue that I randomly seem to have. But today's just gonna be a simple stream. Might even be a fairly short stream as well. Just wanted to kind of play around. Figured take out some hordes. Talk about zombie stuff, because for a while I've wanted to do this, not just play this and mess around with wiping out hordes at the end of the game, but I wanted to talk about Resident Evil specifically. Like, we're talking all things zombies because horror is my favorite genre, and typically horror involves zombies. There's lots of zombie stuff. So Resident Evil Resident Evil live action is specifically the thing I wanted to talk about, because it's been something, and it hasn't been something good. Hopefully this woman doesn't randomly disappear or die. I think she's done for. See if I can help.
Someone needs help.
Woo. Where is this lady at? Oh yeah, she's dead. She's gone. I think I was supposed to go up, but it sounded like it was coming from down here. She's gone now. So anyway, Resident Evil Live. Wow, that happened? Wow, I thought that was just gonna flop. That's annoying. So Resident Evil live action, like I was trying to say, it hasn't been the greatest thing ever,
Stay out of the way.
We've had a full series of movies, 6 films long. Oh, she was in that car right there. I did not realize that. So 6 films long.
Let me get you out of there.
The first movie is the best one, as far as I'm concerned. The first movie is the best movie.
Where? I'll go.
And then,
Where?
it kind of picks up and down from there. I hated the second one, even though it technically had like
She'll take you in.
probably the most references to the game outside of the 5th movie.
So grateful.
But I hated that one, mostly because Mike Epps was in it, and I was mad that they made it so comedic, and I was just like, I hate this. And I also had like the worst experience ever, because I didn't get to see that movie in theaters. I saw that on a bootleg, and it was the worst bootleg ever. It looked horrific. So I already didn't enjoy the movie, and I didn't even see it in, I guess at the time it was a movie, so it still would have been like high definition. In theaters, I saw it on like the worst bootleg known to mankind, and that was very interesting, and not in a good way, for visuals and the story. So didn't like 2. 3 came out, and I was like, okay, they've already transitioned so far from what Resident Evil typically is that it's like, all right, whatever. I kind of enjoyed the 3rd one a little bit, because I was like, I saw the second one, so it's like once your expectations are lower, it's that classic deal. It's like I had no real expectations that it would be good, so I was like, whatever. And then she came out with full-on superpowers, and it was weird, and I was like, this makes no sense, but it's just like, okay, sure, action-y, and she's chopping up stuff. Did they introduce the clones in 3? I think 3 is when they like first introduced the clones. So I was like, all right, there's that movie. I genuinely can't even remember what the 4th one was, if I'm being completely honest. I do not remember what the 4th one was. I think maybe that was the one that opened with like the crazy scene where it was like her working with all of her clones, which seemed to end, and then it was just her at the end. It was like they had the clone thing literally just for the crazy opening of the movie, and then after that all the clones were gone. So that was weird as well. And so then so 5 was actually the one that I enjoyed a bit, where I was like, okay, I actually kind of like this. It had a lot of the characters in it. Barry was in it, Leon, Ada was in it. Oh, you know what? 4 was the one that had Chris in it, and Chris and Claire fought Wesker based on RE5. That's what that was. Weird movie. 5 came out, more characters. Hold on a second. I think I heard some noise here. So 5 comes out, got a bunch of characters, quick save, and it was like, okay, I kind of enjoyed that. And then the ending comes along, and I was like, oh, I really enjoy this. I'm like, I was actually excited to see what would happen, in the final live action Resident Evil movie. they ended it, and spoilers, I guess, if you actually give a crap for, live action Resident Evil movies, but it ended and it was like Alice, Wesker, Leon, and Ada all working together. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. They're actually gonna, team up. It's gonna be really entertaining. They're gonna fight off, the end of the world. That's what it was supposed to be. And then it starts off, and the movie was just like, oh yeah, everybody died. Everyone's dead. That's literally how the movie starts. Everyone is just dead, and that's it. Hold on, what should I? Yes. And that's up. What just happened there? That was super easy. That was great. That was okay. That was like expert execution right there. Plus they were all huddled together. Normally they're like super close to the entrance, and as soon as I see them, I'm like, ooh, crap, there they are. And then one of them turns, and then it's like, oh, let's kill this dude, and then they all come flooding out. So that was actually very nice, because normally they're like right at the opening, and they see you as soon as you see them, and it's like, ah, crap, I'm kind of screwed here. Oh, that's cool. Never been up here before. I have to remember that. That's a good spot for a picture. But we have the fifth movie ending. I thought I was super excited for 6, and then 6 came out, and it was so bad. Like, there are a million reasons why that movie was just so bad. Like, it's funny, if you watch some YouTube videos, I didn't realize this, because when movies come out over a span of time and stuff, you don't really remember all the specifics and details, and it's like, oh, here's how they
Camp full of squatters.
retcon this story.
Tried to ambush me.
Ah, I knew I should have came over here. I'm pretty sure I wiped out like every other one of these things throughout the rest of the game. That's crazy though. But 6 comes out, and they retcon some stuff, I guess, for like the second time. So it was like the third version of this thing. It was the second retcon, and it's just like, huh, didn't realize that until I
bunch of rapists and murderers.
ended up watching an actual YouTube video about it.
I got you now.
Oh. Dang, I was hoping I'd be able to get that shot off beforehand.
Like that, huh? Last one. Okay, time for the rest of you.
Okay. So 6 comes out, it's horrible. I always think, the main thing I think of when I think of the 6th Resident Evil movie is the fact that they had a scene where they had to, a random thing pop up. They had to, God, what did they do? They had a building, which was like a skyscraper, but most of the building in the center was completely emptied out. And so it was like, okay, we huddle all the zombies together. Dang. We huddle all the zombies together, and then we'll just
now, huh?
drop a bunch of fire on them.
You like that?
So they pour gasoline, and then they don't just pour the gasoline, they light the gasoline. And I know it's a big thing in movies where it's like, people always light gasoline, and it's always unrealistic. Dang, I blew him out of his shins. Shin guards, I should say. But it's always a thing. It's like, okay, I can kind of let that slide. Everybody does it. Supernatural is like famous for that. Like, they lit so many bodies up in that show where they pour the gasoline and they just stand like a foot and a half away, and it's just like, like they'd be all sorts of lit up. But it's like, that's TV stuff. That's how it goes. No big deal. And then there's that. And then there's what Resident Evil did, which was they were still pouring the gasoline, pouring it down.
Are you there?
And then,
Why are you on this channel?
hold on a second. Okay.
We tried contacting you on our channel.
Well,
So-
I lost the radio the night that shit went down.
Well, I gotta hear this.
Did she make it out? Your wife?
So spoilers, I guess, for
No thanks to you.
Days Gone, by the way. Post game. I mentioned in the very beginning, post game content.
No thanks to you.
I'm glad. There's something that I have to tell you.
So this
So
is.
talk.
In person.
I can't believe we got that. There we go.
Nah, I don't think so.
It's important. In the Northern Cascades, there's an
I'm trying to
pioneer
just-
cemetery.
I know the one.
Move it back!
Okay.
Fire! Fire! Fire!
That guy was eager to take me down, I guess. Okay. So, movie comes out. Utterly ridiculous. They're pouring gasoline down. They light the
You
gasoline
were saying?
as it's
Meet
pouring,
me there.
and the fire goes down with the gasoline. Now, bad edits and choppy edits and action scenes, disorienting, just making a crap story is like, okay. You got rid of basically all the characters. I don't know if they couldn't get the actors back or what the deal was. I'm not sure. All of these things, it's like, all right. Bad movie stuff happens. And then there's just like
Is that it?
the utter disregard of physics in the most heinous way.
Don't pick on the wrong guy.
And that's what happened there. Oh, this place has a bunker. Well, I really never came to like this whole little section of the game. Like, there's a bunker here and everything,
See if they got an underground bunker.
which means it's a fast travel point that I just never unlocked until after I beat the entire effing game. But clearly, I didn't actually need to come up here. So that's a toilet. So the gasoline thing pouring down, and they light it, and the fire literally goes down with the gas, which just defies all of physics. That's the thing that comes to mind. There's a million other things. Like I said, it's the second time they retcon the story. It's just not really good. Like, they do heel turns. Like, Wesker was teaming up with the heroes at the end, and then he just becomes bad guy Wesker again. And it's like, well, why? Like, there's just no reason. Also, once again, spoilers. He dies because his leg got like caught on a door and he couldn't move. I'm pretty sure he still technically had his powers at the time, by the way. So this is Wesker, who's a guy that has like superpowers, super speed and super strength and all these other things. And like the door came down on him and it was just too hard for him to get up, I guess. And so that's how he died. Like the door came down on his leg and then they like killed him while he was there. And it's just
Here it is.
confusing. It was a confusing film. And so it was unfortunate. It was like, wow, I had such high hopes. I really hope I don't end up losing that. It's like, I had such high hopes for this because 5 actually ended in a way that caught my attention. I was like, okay, I'm okay. I can appreciate this. Let's see what really ends up happening. And then I was super disappointed. And then, time moves on. We have some CG Resident Evil movies. I think those are really good. I highly recommend those if you haven't done it before. Highly recommend it. That's all I can really say. You should watch the CG Resident Evil movies. The more recent ones have definitely gotten more and more insane. They've kind of, oddly enough, gone along with, oh wow, that's cool. Kind of the insanity of the films or of the games, I should say. But they're definitely entertaining. I definitely enjoy watching those, even when they get so wild and ridiculous, like the ending boss battle of, well, technically it was the last CG movie, because the last CG thing we had for Resident Evil was Netflix, and it was really just a movie. They called it a series, but it was like it was just a movie. They just cut it up into 4 parts, and it was just like, okay, it's fine, like they did that, I guess. But it was weird. It was clearly this wasn't much of a series. It's just a movie. It's only 4 episodes long, and each one is like 23 minutes or so. So I'm like, it's clearly just like an hour and a half long film, and you guys just, moved it. Dang, I guess that means I lost it. So I was like, okay, time moves on. Had some CG movies. Years and years go by. Resident Evil comes back with RE7 and 8 and the remakes of 2 and 3, and it's like, okay, things are coming back. Resident Evil, I mean, it was always good as far as I was concerned, but I can understand why. Love may have waned. We'll put it that way. Also, the stupid buffer thing is the most annoying thing in the universe. I don't understand why this doesn't work for me. So I'm gonna just have to record. Oh, it's like you have a thing, you have a stream deck. It's literally just like I hit the button. It's supposed to do the buffer, and it doesn't. Ah, well. But so much time passes, and then we have, the remakes come out and stuff. Everything's good, and it's like, hey, new Resident Evil movie. I was like, okay, let's see what happens here. New Resident Evil movie. We shall see what happens. Oh crap! There's a Nero site right there. So I'm excited for this, right? They show off a bunch of stuff. It's like, hey, we're doing some stuff. They kind of show things where it's like, this was literally from the remake. They literally have the sign from the remake video game from Resident Evil 2 where it's like, welcome to Raccoon City. And it's like, holy crap, they literally like got the sign down pat. I was excited. That was like all I saw, and I was like, it's happening. We're gonna have a good movie. I was hyped. I was excited. And then things just happen. You see the movie, and man, the level of disappointment is nigh astronomical. Honestly, like, oh, well, that's interesting. But it's just like,
What the hell is that
this
sound?
okay. So
Nero injector.
I can't believe I'm finding one of these. This has to be the last one in the whole game. That's nuts. So I was almost at Operation Raccoon. I say that every time. I always say Operation Raccoon City, but Welcome to Raccoon City comes out, and it just hurt. It was like, this game looks like Resident Evil. It has the style. I mean, it's a very small town sort of look compared to what I would say Resident Evil really is. Like Raccoon City itself as a city was more of a super small town compared to, Raccoon City of like, Resident Evil 2 and 3. But it's like, okay, I can understand that it makes certain things easier where they're like, hey, this is how we evacuate the whole town. This is why there are no people here. It was also one of the movies affected by COVID, which you can totally tell because of that, where it's like, of course they had the zombies, but it was like, there is just nothing. Like, the alarm goes off once again. Spoilers for this. Spoilers for all the things I'm talking about. It's just going to be live action Resident Evil stuff. So the alarm goes off in the town. It's like, hey, everybody leave. There's something bad that happened. Umbrella had an issue. Umbrella's like the big company of the town. Everybody evacuate. And then there's just no people. It's almost as if everyone instantaneously evaporated.
Hey,
I'm going to pause for a minute because I want to hear this.
God, I'm
Might be
tired.
my last one.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm right there with you. It's too goddamn many. Lost count.
Hey, you checked the manifest? Where's the next load going, huh?
It's over at the Iron Butte Ranch. They started a new dig site just outside the resort there.
That must have made those rich assholes happy. I wonder how much a house on the 9th hole is worth now that it backs up to a mass grave, huh?
Yeah, I know, right? What the hell?
What are they doing?
Jesus! Break! Break!
Oh, we're gonna hit them! No!
I guess you boys never made it back to fill that manifest, did you? Well, didn't matter.
Fascinating.
There was a hell of a lot more where they came from.
Also fascinating. Okay. Just wasn't expecting that on my little slow stroll. It's like, there's a lot of space there between that noose and that neck. And I don't know what they were doing with that one. I'm not even gonna question. We're gonna leave that alone. But Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City comes out, and I was so hyped. I was so excited. I'm like, we got it. It's gonna look good. It's gonna be good. And it came out, and it did look good. It definitely looked good. They had tons of references in it. And then it was just like, ooh, okay. There we go. Oh, snap. I mean, that would happen in real life. If you're just sitting around a cougar, you're not going to get out of that situation the way you want to. Unless you got like superpowers. So the movie comes out, and I'm just annoyed. I was like mad watching this movie. Wink. Dang, I can't. There we go. So I was just upset with the movie because I'm like, I was so happy. I was so excited. I thought they looked like they were doing a bunch of work. they did do a bunch of work as well, and that's the other thing that's excessively disheartening about it, is that they actually did do a bunch of work. I really hope I don't stroll into a horde while I'm charging my headphones. But they put a bunch of work in. There are a ridiculous amount of references, which I love the references. They're insanely deep cut references too. And that's another thing that just makes it worse. It's like, how in the world do you have some of the most deep cut references I've ever seen? And it's just like, the rest of this movie is just like, the characters don't feel like themselves. The story is weird. They played, first off, oh my goodness, I forgot about this. I was about to say they played a song that didn't fit, but speaking of music and the new Resident Evil movie, what the F was up with that first trailer? I mean, seriously.
What the hell happened here?
That first trailer was that was definitely the first thing that happened, where it was like, oh crap, this is bad. And it was the trailer where they played Four Non-Blondes, Hey Yeah, which is, you know, for anyone who doesn't know exactly what I'm talking about, it's the meme song with He-Man, you know, it's that song. And it was like, why'd you play that? Who did that? Who decided that that was smart? Like, where was the intelligence there with playing that? Because that trailer was horrendous and such an idiotic idea. It's almost on par with what was that, Terminator Genesis, I want to say, where they put a full-on spoiler in the trailer, where it was legit. It wasn't like, oh, this is kind of a spoiler. This was literally like a full-on, about as big as it can get type spoiler. And it was like, huh, so you just put that like right in the trailer, huh? That thing that doesn't, because I saw the movie, of course, that thing that doesn't show up until like 45 minutes, almost an hour into the film, is like a big twist. And you're just like, boom, trailer, no big deal. It's like, that's dumb. That's dumb. That's a random thing. But honestly, like, people should be able to make their own trailers. If you made the movie, you should probably make the trailer, because you can't trust like, you can't trust people to make trailers for your movie, because it's just different people. For anyone who didn't know that, it's not like the director goes in and makes trailers and stuff like that. Like, there are people who do like the trailer edits. Like, that's just how it is. I don't think it's even like the normal movie editor, because typically the director works with them. As far as the full-on just plain trailer, I think it's like a totally separate team. So if for whatever reason you randomly find yourself you know, in the movie business, maybe do your own trailer just in case you're worried about it. But it was a really dumb trailer. It was like, why would you pick this song? What's your problem? That's ridiculous. And then of course the international trailer came out, and I watched that and I was satiated, because I was like, oh, thank goodness. This actually, the tone was amazing. The music was just, you know, generic horror music where it's just, you know, that sort of thing. Kind of like what you're hearing right now, where it's just hey. And it was like, this is good. This is Resident Evil. It feels like it. It certainly looked like it from, you know, from the trailer. It just looked like cool Resident Evil clips. And then you see the movie, and they had that weird song where the dude was on fire, and it was so loud. But there's like a zombie that's just on fire after this huge explosion that somehow didn't wake a character up. Like, the door was wide open. There's a bunch of zombies pushing on the door to RPD, and he just doesn't wake up. There's literally an 18-wheeler hit the gate and exploded. And then they play this song. It's the song he was listening to on this you know, Sony Walkman. But it was ridiculous. We're gonna do this. So this, super spoilers, I do believe this is literally the last thing that you can see in this game. Just in case you actually care about Days Gone, the game from 2019, which should totally have a sequel. I now understand. I am totally in the camp of, what the F was everybody talking about? Like, this game should have had more recognition. I wholeheartedly agree that this game should have had more love, because I really enjoy it. A lot of people talk about the plot being simple, and I can understand that a little bit, but I feel like the plot's more of a personal story than it is this big grandiose thing.
Again. What is it this time?
Believe me or not, I'm glad to see you again. That night at Wizard Island didn't seem to go well.
What can I do for you, O'Brien?
I'm here to warn you.
Warn me about what?
You remember, I told you the infected were evolving?
Right, yeah, a freak's a freak. What the hell do I care?
Oh.
of the virus. Its effects on the human nervous and lymphatic systems is accelerating
at an exponential rate.
Huh.
They knew all along, of course, that it was happening. The men above me. That's why they were so cautious. So secretive.
Fascinating.
They're coming. I'm sorry. There's nothing you can do to stop them. There's nothing anyone can do.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Huh. Wow. Sucks that this does not get a sequel, because I'm certainly curious, like, what in the world would they have done with that one? Okay, that's a nothing you can do. Huh. Oh yeah. I did not see that coming. That was a super dramatic shot, by the way, when it was like on Deacon's face and like the wind was blowing and his hair was like all blown in one direction. It's like, oh man, this junk is legit.
The truth shall set you free. You heard me talking about the black choppers? Nero choppers? Well, none have been sighted in days. But don't cool your heels just yet. Nero isn't done, not by a long shot. With Nero out of the skies, that can only mean one thing. They got what they're after, and they've all flown back to their coops. This is the endgame, friends. The feds have had this plan ready long before the freaks. Now, they're gonna roll over the earth. And woe to anyone who stands in their way. But we've hung on this long. We're not gonna give up now. We're
not really wrong.
fighters.
I love that there's just a bunch of beer bottles in a cemetery.
Show. And we are nothing if not prepared.
Like I said before, Cope, you don't know the half of it. But yeah, I'm with you on this one.
Oh, there they are.
It ain't over yet.
Sadly, it is, because Sony was on the BS. Whoops. Is this not the Horde? Oh, this isn't actually the Horde. You know what? Let's just do this real quick. Whoops. That's the problem with this. When you're running from a big crowd, you're looking back at them and you don't know. Dang. You don't know what you're running into. Ah, snap. So anyway, Operation Raccoon City comes out. Utterly disappointing. It just, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, for me personally, because we're gonna get to Netflix. If it was the most recent thing, we got to talk about it. It's all things. Heck, I should have just said all things Resident Evil, really, because it's more about Resident Evil than it is zombies. But like, I just don't understand what the deal was when it came to that movie. Whereas like they had all these references, they had the style, they had the look, they had the characters, they had, kind of working off of the remake games. They were combining stuff that we kind of just seen remade. So they were putting real effort in. Like I said, they had the visuals down. They had the characters in there. They were combining, unfortunately, which, whether it's an adaptation or, well, I mean, it's live action, so it's an adaptation because the original story is a video game. But it's like, I just don't understand what the deal is when it comes to people acting like it's hard to do Resident Evil. Because honestly, everyone says the same. Every fan says the exact same thing. Like, bro, just put it in the mansion. That's it. It's a whole game. I mean, we played a whole game in a mansion. I'm pretty sure we can do a single movie in a mansion. It would be okay. It would be okay. It's weird that the thing never came up, because there's normally that big meter. Oh, that's not what I wanted. So it's just this weird thing where it's like, I don't understand, along with every other Resident Evil fan, I don't understand why it's like, you can just do a movie in a mansion. But they decided, hey, we're gonna combine Resident Evil 1 and 2 together. It kind of had bits of 3, because technically they were going like throughout the city. So, and 2 and 3 take place around the same time. Like 2, I always mix this up. 2 starts before 3, and then 2 starts before 3 and ends like during the middle of 3, and then Resident Evil 3 is like the last thing, because obviously they blow up the whole city. Spoilers. But it's weird where it's just like, just do that thing. That's it. Just do that thing. Keep it simple. No muss, no fuss. Zombies. That's it. A mansion and zombies. Resident Evil 1. They don't have to do all the extra stuff. They don't have to combine the games. They don't have to do anything but say, here is Chris, Jill, Barry, Wesker. You know, you kind of have to have the people that die. So you need Joseph, you need Brad. Brad doesn't die, but you need all the side characters that don't really stay in the mansion. You have to have them show up, which they do in this as well. And that's it. Resident Evil 1, plain and simple. You can show the mansion if you like. I'm not about to deal with this. You know, or not the mansion, but you can show the RPD if you like, and you know, show like the buildup of the team, and that's where they leave from. It's like, okay, sure, that like you can do that, and it's totally fine. But to do what they keep doing with Resident Evil is utterly ridiculous, and that was kind of the closest one we've had so far. Like I said, they had the city, they had the characters, even though the characters didn't really act like themselves. Like Leon, everyone says, was just like weak and dumb, and it was like he was just the worst version of a rookie, because the whole point of Leon is that he's the rookie cop who just, you know, one bad first day, but you know, he manages to you know, beat the odds. He survives, and it's like it's just weird. It's just weird how crappy they made him as a character, as if he's just not tough or incapable in every single way. Like he's just the screw up in every single way, shape, and form. It's like, well, that sucks. That's really not Leon at all. But all right, that's a failure. Chris and Claire don't actually get along. It's like, well, that sucks. Yeah, see, that's what they normally do. It's like they just come pouring right out. So, crap. Well, might be it for this guy. But, you know, Chris and Claire don't like each other. They have a relationship with Wesker. They have Lisa Trevor in it, just like she was in the facility, and which makes no sense, but whatever. The whole movie, they do a bunch of stuff just to like get characters in different places and be like, this is the story, but it's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so this is something I always say when it comes to adaptations. If you're going to change it, at least change it for the better. And I can tell you, they did not. Even just sheer story writing wise, they did not change it for the better. Like, you know, you have this concept of Chris and Claire not really being super close, because Claire left the facility, like she escaped in the middle of the night, and Chris ended up staying, and it's like, okay, he ends up teaming up, or kind of becoming almost like an adopted son to a scientist. His name's William Birkin. Popular character, a very important character in the Resident Evil franchise. And they changed the story where it's like, okay, so he ran, you know, this facility and stuff, and you know, Claire ends up escaping, Chris ends up staying behind, and it's like, you know, they just kind of separated, and she left for a super long time, and then eventually came back because she was in touch with this hacker guy or, you know, conspiracy theorist who was totally right, who does something very dumb later in the movie, but he was totally right. And so she's like, I gotta go back to Raccoon City because something's going on. Umbrella is this horrible company. I gotta work to stop them. And they have this concept and they just do nothing with it. It's like, okay, well, we decided to make it where Chris and Claire aren't really super close anymore. All right. We made it where Chris is basically the adopted son of William Birkin, which means that he's almost like a stepbrother now. He's a big brother to Sherry Birkin, who is just, you know, a young girl that actually Claire interacts with a lot in Resident Evil 2. And it's just like, okay, that could be cool. There's actually a lot that you could do with that. That would be very interesting. And then they do literally nothing. It's just the main plot, and then there's nothing deep to it whatsoever. They don't even have Claire interact with William Birkin as an adult, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Like, they just completely were just like, no big deal. I wonder if he can attack me. I'm sure he can. This little kid's gonna... Oh, I can't move. Can I heal? Let's see how much damage I take from this kid.
That's it.
Little bitch. Oh, you're lucky I got my knife. That would have just bonked him right on his head. He'd be gone. So they do nothing with it where it's like, all right, you decide to switch things up. You make it where they're not related or where, you know, they're not super close. Then you have it where Chris is basically a part of the Birkin family. You could have easily done some good stuff with that. That mannequin actually kind of scared me. But they could have easily done something with it where it's like, okay, he is now, instead of being a big brother to his biological sister, he's a big brother to his stepsister. They didn't do anything with that. Like, I think they say Sherry's name once in the movie. They might not even actually say her name. I think her name is just on, they had her name like in the letters above her bed. I don't know if they actually even say her name in the whole movie. She's just there, and it's like that Sherry Birkin. And I think it's just the letters above. And she's in like 2 scenes, maybe 2 or 3 scenes in the whole film, and that's really it. It's like, okay, that was kind of pointless. But yeah, they don't touch on it. They don't make it where it's an important factor that he grew up with them as a part of their family. It's just nothing. It's just nothing. And Claire doesn't even interact with William Birkin. They have a scene where, you know, they do the stare down on the street where they recognize each other, and she's like, oh, that's the guy, and he kind of recognizes her even though she's older. And they don't see each other again. They don't see each other for the rest of the movie. It was like, there's no reason for a stare down. There's, oh crap. Like, there's no reason for a stare down if there's nothing happening. Like, you had to stare.
Guess you don't have to be worried about traffic no more, do you?
You had to stare down for something that didn't even come to fruition. They don't fight. They don't have a conversation where it's like, you know, I had to run away and leave my brother behind and this and that, or you corrupted my brother. Nothing. They just see each other. It's raining. He almost hits her in his truck. She's on a motorcycle. That's it. They don't even see each other again. It's confusing. It's just confusing. Like, they just
Learn something new every day.
it's just annoying. They don't even see each other through the rest of the film. They didn't do like the most basic stuff where it's like, okay, here's the, not necessarily a resolution, but you know, it's just that moment of the character that was kind of, you know, screwed over getting, you know, a little bit of revenge. The villain gets his comeuppance. You know, there's a conversation about, you know, why he did the horrible things he did, and she's like, yeah, this is how you screwed everything up, and now look what's happened. Nothing. They just don't even interact. They just don't even interact. So dumb. Wesker, another thing, Wesker was like super nice and stuff. He wasn't even actually working for Umbrella.
What did Iron Mike say? He said that all these caves, they formed when lava flows. They hardened on the outside, but the lava still flowed like buried rivers. Yeah, right. Crazy old son of a bitch.
I was not expecting him to talk, being totally honest. There they are. I'm trying to figure out where they were all at. Let's do, this. really hard to see over there. I'm sure this will help. Yep. But it's just such a disappointing movie, and it's super sad. Ah, crap. There we go. So that movie was very disappointing. I think that's the one that upsets me the most, even more than the Resident Evil Netflix, even though that was just, I don't know what the F that was. But for me personally, because Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City was actually like trying, it's what makes it worse, because it was like, why'd you have all those epic references? You had to do work to get those references, yet you just bailed on the simple concept of who the characters were, and it makes no sense. This is about to be real tough for me. I really hope they don't knock my motorcycle over. But so that one, that one's harsh for me personally. I was like, okay, you had the references, you had the style, but you just didn't have the characters. You had them in the movie, but you didn't have the personality. Why is Wesker nice? Why is Wesker not already working with Umbrella? Why is it that Ada is the one that comes to find him? She gives him his iconic glasses because it was so bright in the room, because he was supposed to be dead, but she saved him, or something happened that doesn't matter because it didn't get in the sequel, so it's irrelevant. And it's like, this doesn't work. This makes no sense for Resident Evil. Could have just done the mansion, but everybody always has to do something extra when all you have to do is the FN mansion. And I understand not having like every puzzle in the game in the movie, because that would be ridiculous. But they did do the puzzle in the movie. Actually, he was working with Umbrella. Now that I remember, he was actually working with them, because he's the reason he knew about the code. He had like the Palm Pilot and stuff. So he knew about the wall piano puzzle, which was a cool reference. You know, once again, nice reference. I like references to Resident Evil because I like the games. But you know, I'd like more references, like something that's faithful to the games would be even better. So he was working with them, now that I remember that. But it was still just so weird. And just unfortunate. Like, just the way they treated it was like, you were so close to having something good. Style, characters, and even the fact that they were combining 2 and 3 together, or 1 and 2 together, I should say. It's like, even despite them doing that, they could have had something. I forgot I had that. But even with them combining it, they had stuff they could do. There was ways to do that, and they just did what they wanted to do. They did it their way, and their way was unfortunate. But yeah, their way was quite unfortunate. And so we got all the cool references. We just didn't get the cool characters like we should have. And that really sucked. And it was like, wow, that is excessively disappointing. I wish there was more. There's not. There won't be, because of how that movie ended up panning out. And it was like, all right, well, I guess that's it. Once again, I'll fail you. Oh, crap.
Let's see.
Fuel note 0988. I've cross-scanned all 6 medical bracelets, and we have a match. These are definitely the missing patients from the Farewell Medical Center.
Good thing they didn't take their bracelets off. Gonna be hard for their families to ID what's left of them.
This is crazy.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for your rigorous scientific observations. Can you go stand over there and point that somewhere else?
I'm sorry, Lieutenant. It's just, why the hell would they stick together like this?
How the hell they make it this far? Wearing nothing but these gowns. They're barefoot, for Christ's sake.
Sergeant?
And why the hell they come all the way back in here? I mean, how'd they even see what they were doing?
Sergeant.
It's just to tear themselves apart like this. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. Let's just
He was clearly freaking out,
to the lab.
having a real moment there. This is obviously really early on.
Take them there. Come on.
Okay.
Hmm.
Come on. Let's get them out of here. Move it, people. Let's go. Move out. Move out.
Jesus, I remember Sarah telling me about that. Should have paid more attention. We could have got out sooner.
That's interesting. I had no idea you could find those recordings in places that weren't like the checks, the Nero checkpoints. Oh. Okay. I was about to say, I'm like, I honestly can't tell if that's a freaker or if that's a dog, because I'm like, it sounds kind of like barking. Don't fall. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, it is a freaker. It's not a dog. It was really hard to tell there. I'm like, I can't tell if that's a freaker or a dog barking, but it's like the audio's cutting out, which wouldn't be that crazy for this game. We're gonna go. Yeah. So we go through Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City. And it hurt. It's disappointing. Unfortunate. All those things. Seems like it's all over. There goes another live action Resident Evil failure. We had our hopes and they were dashed once again. On to the next. And then Netflix is like, hey guys, we're doing a show. So they did the CG show. I enjoyed it. Yeah, most people feel like it was kind of just, it was kind of medium. It was like, yeah, not really bad, but not necessarily good. I personally actually kind of enjoyed it because I thought they did a couple of minute little twists where I was like, oh, I genuinely didn't expect that. So I actually kind of liked the story. And it got kind of harsh towards the end as well. And they did some stuff I wasn't expecting. But then I was like, it has to fit in line with the games. So there's kind of some stuff they did made sense. But then there was some other stuff that happened like at the there were some decisions made, once again, oddly enough, with Leon again, where I was like, that doesn't feel like it's Leon to me. And then, just decision stuff again. So that I thought was fine. And then it was like, all right, CG TV show, even though it's clearly just a movie that they cut up into 4 episodes. It's done. It was decent, and now it's done. Okay. Ooh-wee. So that happens, and then it's like, all right, here we go, folks. Live action Resident Evil. And boy, oh boy. Oh, fascinating. Live action Resident Evil. And we already knew what was going to happen with it because, of course, it was already revealed where it was like, hey, we're doing a thing. It's going to be Wesker and his 2 daughters. So it was like, okay, Wesker doesn't have daughters, but sure, I guess. If that's how we're starting, that's how we're starting. I guess that would be a flash warning, even though it's a little too late because I didn't think about that. See, this is a classic horror movie thing right here, where the flashes actually make it. Okay, I can't. He's reloading too slow. The flash is in an enclosed space, actually. I held out surprisingly long there for not moving. That was actually really good because normally one always slips up right under me. And they have a very weird thing in this game where if they get too close, you actually can't shoot them. It's like the weirdest thing. Boop. It's very, very odd. Like they'll be like right up on you and your bullets basically just go through them because they're too close to register or something. It's very weird. So live action Resident Evil TV show. We got Netflix taking the helm. So it already started off bad, where it was like, okay, here's Wesker, here's his 2 daughters. It's not even really about Wesker, it's about the 2 girls, and it's you know, back and forth jumping through time. And so it's like, all right, I don't think this is gonna work, because you're already like, hey, here's just a thing that's happening. You know what? All right, all of this is white, which means I can probably travel. Yeah, there's like roads right here. I've never traveled there. Let's do that. Explore something new as we talk about something old and disappointing. So we have the stuff with the girls and it being a, you know, back and forth through time. Wesker and his daughters, a story about them. It takes place in 2020. It is set when is it set? It's set after, it's set in 2020. So they said the games are canon, so I would assume that means all the way up to, oh, they took over my little spot. Okay.
Don't let up. We can do this.
Crap.
Keep on running around.
So I was not expecting a fight here, but decent. Yeah. Wow, I saw. Fortunately, I have like 100 bullets, so I can just do this, and it doesn't matter. So we already knew what it was going to be like with the whole Wesker thing, and like I said, I'm pretty sure they said it was canon even from the very beginning. They were like, yeah, all the games are canon to the show. Fortunately, it's not vice versa, because that would literally ruin the games. Excuse me. But we have the canon. Like I said, I mean, if the games are canon to the show and it goes up to 2020, I think technically that would cover like all the Resident Evil games except for, well, I don't know, because it came out in 2020. I don't really know. I don't know if it starts from production or whenever they originally announced it, because it was announced quite a while ago. Like they had the cast set and everything for like 2 years ago before we ever even actually ended up seeing the show come out, because, you know, of course, because of COVID. So at the time, you know, whatever game was canon, or, you know, whatever games were out were considered canon to the show. And that didn't really mean much of anything, because for one, they don't really do much of, they like somewhat reference stuff like a tiny bit here and there, but you know, it doesn't matter. That's like a bonus thing you can do, is like knock those down, but it's irrelevant. I killed the guy, so it don't matter anymore. But the games are canon, which a big part of that was like, okay, well, if the games are canon, there's a very particular thing that happens in Resident Evil 5 that kind of said Wesker died. You know, it was a pretty big moment. His head blew up from a rocket launcher in a volcano. He died. Like, he's gone. So there were some questions everybody had, like, how, why? So we had to wait and see what was going to happen. I don't think I can actually drive past this, and I think if I try, I'm going to mess my bike up. And that is fascinating. Oh, that's the flooded stuff. Hold up. Right, loop back around. That's very interesting. Like, that's just a whole section. Like, you literally just can't go past it. You just have to drive the other way. They normally don't have stuff like that where you like just can't get past. Like, that's too deep for him to wade through. And even if there's a ramp, maybe, which there is not. So I couldn't get through it anyway. Okay. So, so we had the news of the show, and it was already just like, all right, let's see what happens. I don't think anybody really had the highest of hopes for a live action, the Netflix show. And that really sucks, because, I mean, honestly, it's been like, it was like 10 years.
Camp.
Wow, I found another one. That's crazy.
Rippers.
Crazy. So, it had been like 10 years since it had even been rumored. Like, there was a rumor forever that there was going to be a live action Netflix Resident Evil series. Actually, I need some ammo. And for a super long time, there were theories and rumors, and there's just, What? Huh? That dude is dead. I mean, this is kind of their thing, but that was a shotgun. That dude is dead. I don't care. That dude's dead. So anyway, we had already had like low hopes and expectations, and it just it got worse and worse.
Bunch of murdering sons of bitches. You like the set of big pushes?
Oh, oh my god. Okay. These guys are nuts, so I'm ooh, glad I did the charge on that one.
You son of a bitch, where you going, huh?
Okay. Wow. They're really messing up. It's hard to focus on. I'm trying to just wipe out a horde of absolute psychopaths. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, crap. Okay. Do this real quick. Do what I can. Make my weapons. Craft some of these. I will not do any of that stuff. Ooh, right in the back. So, the show comes out, right? And boy, oh boy, I mean, let's face it, everybody hated that show for a myriad of reasons. I personally have no care in the world about calling it woke or any of that dumb crap. It's irrelevant to me. It's just, is it good or is it not good? And it was not good. I don't think it matters that it had, you know, a female lead or any of that crap, or the way they did any of the stuff, or, you know, Wesker being black or anything. I didn't care. Like, honestly, that was like the least of my worries, because I care more about Resident Evil than it, you know, the race of the people. I would have preferred if he was white, because, you know, it's Resident Evil. I personally like the characters to just be the characters and just get an actor that, you know, it just looks and, you know, can act as the character. So I personally would prefer it, but I also don't care enough as long as they do good. And he did good. Lance Reddick, I mean, let's face it, Lance Reddick did the best in that show. He did what he could. He did what he could with what he was given. And what the heck? And, you know, we got what was given. We just had to accept it. And unfortunately, what we got was just a really bad show. And not just like, oh, this is kind of bad. This was like,
Okay,
oh, what's happening over there? They must be fighting something. Let's check it out. Whoa, snap. You scared me, obviously. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Sound brings them near. Home run. That's very interesting. I'm like, what is going on here? Oh, there's still somebody over there too.
Rest in peace, brother.
Oh, wow. Didn't expect him to say that. So, with all the madness of that show, where is this dude at? Oh, hold up. I don't want to deal with you right now. Dang. I guess you're dealt with. So, with what they did for the series, I was willing to watch it. I mean, I watched the whole thing. I did a review on it, and it was short considering all the stuff I wanted to talk about. Or, you know, complain about, really, because there was so much to complain about that was valid to complain about too.
Oh, I think that's it. Roads will be a little safer now. I mean, not much, but a little.
Oh, this place has a bunker too.
Around here. I'll bet they do.
Feels so weird to be finding these after I've done the main campaign. Shows like, I mean, I didn't miss much. I mean, there's just an area that you went through, you know, automatically. So I never went through it.
Here's the hatch.
Manually,
Yeah, you had one.
I guess. But it's just interesting. It's like, huh, this stuff was here. I just never thought about it because I was driving all over the place, and it didn't occur to me to even look for it. Didn't even think about it. Which means there's probably another Nero checkpoint somewhere that I haven't seen yet. And that's interesting too.
What's this? A map?
Show comes out.
Yeah, okay.
Everyone hates it.
Got some papers.
I mean,
crafting.
How could you not? I mean, some people did enjoy it. I'd heard some thoughts on people who weren't really, weren't really like deep into Resident Evil, and they were okay with it. And which honestly surprises me because I genuinely believe that this is a bad show. Not just like it's 100% a bad show in regards to being a Resident Evil series on so many levels. Like, it's not about the main characters. I mean, Wesker's the only main character that shows up. Technically, Lisa Trevor's in it, but I wouldn't consider her a main character. But there are so many characters in Resident Evil, and they just don't really utilize any of them. Wesker's in it, and it's a clone of Wesker. Once again, spoilers, but I honestly don't recommend watching it at all anyway. And it's just like, okay, so here's the weird story of, you know, the Wesker clone. You know, his adventures with his two daughters. And it's just not good. Like, I feel like that's all I can say. It's like, it's just not good. It is not entertaining. It is not like surprisingly thoughtful or fun to watch or anything. Like, it's got nothing. It has like none of those qualities. It doesn't really have any like epic action moments or anything like that. It doesn't have any entertaining revelation. Technically it has revelations, but it doesn't really have any entertaining revelations. That's unfortunate. What else? Like, what else does this thing not do right? Well, it has the daughters, Billy and Jade. Jade is supposed to be our main character, and she's just a crappy person. Like, she just sucks all around. Like, she's a real douchebag when it comes to being a teenager. It was like just the most over the top angry teenager. It was like, this is way beyond what is necessary for the angry teenager. It's just excessive. It's super excessive, in fact. And it's just like, okay, why are we doing that? That doesn't make any sense. That's crazy. She talks about Zootopia porn, which I know that was a big thing. That was funny. It wasn't funny when she said it. Well, that's funny. It wasn't funny to me when she said it. It's just a crazy thing to see, like, in the grand scheme of that series. It's like, it's definitely funny to just be like, wow, they thought that was a good line to put in. They thought that we needed the teenage girl that hates her dad to, there you go.
I never knew that.
But it was like, they really thought we needed the teenage daughter that hates her dad to hate her dad so hardcore that she would try to embarrass him in front of like the new, oops, didn't see you there. In front of like the new neighbor lady, I guess. And she's like, oh no, I just watched Zootopia porn. And it's like, okay, that's a line of dialogue. That's a line of dialogue that they put in. And they were like, this is it. This is the dialogue. This is what works. And that's crazy to me. That is almost insane, in fact. That is almost insane. I went way out of my way. I should actually have gone back over here. There we go. But it's so weird how they wrote some of the dialogue to be what it is, and it's like, this just yeah, it's just not good dialogue. It's excessively over the top characters, and then you have the overarching storyline, which is them going back and forth through time. it just didn't work. It wasn't entertaining. It was like I was actually more interested in the past stuff, and the future stuff. Oh wow, the mailbox, classic. I literally couldn't see that mailbox. But the back and forth in time thing, yeah, it wasn't well done because, like I said, the future stuff wasn't that entertaining. I was actually more interested in seeing everything that happened that led up to the apocalypse. And also, I would say that that's another huge point of contention for me with the series. As far as I'm concerned, obviously I don't write Resident Evil or anything like that. But for me, Resident Evil, like the whole point of it is that the good guys keep winning and they kind of stop this apocalypse from happening. Like, that's kind of like the main thing, is that there is no apocalypse because the good guys, as the good guys that they are, that's water. Dang, I thought that was like a little bit of dirt and then there was going to be a path. Oh man, I just lost my bike. I don't have time for this. So I love when you get locked in animations on inclines because that's what just happened there. Well, now I gotta, dang. All right, I gotta kill them so I think I can fast travel. I just gotta get to my bike before it's completely destroyed. I hope this works. Yes, thank goodness. So with the way they did everything, as far as like her personality, Jade's personality, and then going through the future stuff, it's like the way they did it means that the heroes failed. And so Jade is like the new hero, I guess, of Resident Evil, when you really think about it in the context of her whole thing is like, oh, we need to figure out what's going on with they call them zeros. I don't know why, but it's like just this weird thing of they won't just include like main characters. So she has to be the hero, which, you know, they reference Ada at the very end during the past timeline, but it just makes me wonder, it's like, okay, so if we do the time skip, boom, there's the big apocalypse and everything. Yeah, I figured he would fall. So if we do all of that, does that mean that everyone's dead as far as the heroes? Because they had a character named Barry. I think everyone thought the same thing, where it was like, oh, this is going to be like an adult, a much older version of Barry, because Barry's already the oldest character in Resident Evil. He's like the oldest of, you know, the hero characters, I should say. So it's like, is that what we're going to end up seeing? Is that what they're going to do? What is happening with my frame rate? I was like, you know, are we going to end up seeing an older version of Barry?
Ripper camp. God.
I just keep finding all sorts of magic.
Rippers.
So we, of course, do not end up. Ooh. Crap. Well, I gotta do this.
Gotta clear the camp. Bunch of murderers and thieves. I can't let
I knew that was gonna happen. Technically, I was off my bike though.
Just stop.
Oh, you know what? Hold up. It's just people on fire. Wait. These guys are annoying.
You like killing drifters? Is that it?
How is this dude still? Okay. How is this dude? I know the whole point is that they can burn themselves and they survive for a long time, but it's like, come on now. You can't be surviving for an eternity here. Okay. Alright. There are so crap. So many of them. Okay. So I wish you could do like drop hits in this game. That would be cool. Oh, I thought the other. Okay, I did that wrong. I don't think he's gonna make it. So close. So close.
Yeah.
He tried though.
Want to go?
He tried. Actually, you know, I'm gonna heal up because I don't know if they ended up killing the wolf. I'm gonna do some stuff here, and we're gonna chat before I wipe this last guy out. But whoops. With the way they handled everything, like I said, her being the main character in general was just like, she's just an annoying person. She is a real shitty human being as a kid, which, you know, like I said, dramatic teenager stuff, but they went past 100. They went to like 1 trillion with the way she was acting. It was so over the top rude. It was just ridiculous. And then in the, I guess technically the post-apocalypse was the present timeline, and then them as kids was the past. So in the present timeline, she was like just a big screw up because all she seemed to do was constantly like fail at all the stuff she was doing. Like, you know, we have the first mission where she is, you know, she's been studying all the zombies and stuff and trying to figure this stuff out with the rabbit. Then of course she has to get chased down. They set off the crazy fire system that burns all of them up. And that was a cool little moment. And then the giant worm comes out and it doesn't kill her. A lot of people pointed that out. And I feel like that was one of those weird things that they did where in context, after going through the rest of the series, I was like, oh, I think that was meant to represent something because of the weird DNA thing. They don't explain it, but I think that was supposed to be the reference because they do it at the end of the season as well with Jade's daughter. And they have a scene where, what was it? It was a giant alligator, which is another reference, or crocodile, one of the two. I forgot which was which. And, you know, that's like the big reference. I was just waiting over there to die. And so, you know, I'm just gonna run ahead and do this. So,
That's the last of them.
I believe.
Guess your days of setting ambushes around here are over.
I believe they were referencing
They look like the type to have an underground
the spot from earlier in the season where Jade is not killed either by the giant worm. So I think that's what they were referencing, was like her blood being special and stuff, because they show that again at the end of the season with their daughter.
Down the hatch.
Once again, all of that stuff is irrelevant because of course the show was canceled. But it was like, okay, they do a bunch of stuff, especially because of them jumping back and forth in time. They were very ambitious and excessively hopeful as it pertained to some of the storylines going forward throughout the series, because they did quite a few things where, you know, like I will watch some reviews and people be like, you know, they said this thing, but this person didn't actually die. Like, what are they talking about? It makes things seem confusing. And then it's like, oh, I know what they were doing. They were making it appear as though they, you know, they would say something like this character died, and then we would see a flashback and be like, oh, but that the way they explained it was like this character, they were surprised that this character died. And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why are they surprised that this character's dead when we saw how they died? And it's like, oh, because that was supposed to be like a little twist where it's like, if you're not paying attention, a lot of people called it out as like, well, it doesn't make sense that they would say that, but it was supposed to be like a clue that the person wasn't dead, and it was in fact just them going, you know, them surviving like a specific moment or whatever. And once again, you know, none of that matters because everything failed. The show failed. But it was like, okay, super ambitious. Like I said, they were really going for it and trying to plant all these different seeds where it was like this thing happened and that thing happened. And that is a neuro checkpoint that I never knew about. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Oh, it's literally right there. How do I get up there? But they did some interesting stuff with that show. They were, like I said, overly ambitious in a myriad of ways, honestly, with that show. But it was just so bad to me. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a lot. This is not the way to go either. But they were overambitious. They had douchebag characters. You know, the main character who's like the hero of the show, shitty as a teenager, idiotic arguments with her sister, where it was like, it was extra dumb. Where like they were going back and forth about like her sister. Well, no. So Jade liked the boy, and Billy would get mad at Jade it was like back and forth. It was like she was pissed at her, and then she wasn't pissed at her for wanting to be with the boy. And then they would go to there was a scene where they went to the party, and she was pissed that her sister didn't watch her, like go off the ramp on the skateboard. And I'm like, I don't understand why she cares. Like the whole point was like, I'm gonna die, and let's just go to a party and relax. Basically, was like the whole point of that party was that they went and it was like I might die. Let's just go ahead and go out and like enjoy what might be the rest of my life. And then she was just super pissed. And it's like, well, do you want your sister with you? Like, why can't she talk to the boy? Like, it was just so weird. It was like she was saying how like her sister was ignoring her, but it's like that doesn't make any sense. She's not ignoring you. It's just the situation that you're in right now. Oh, in the world. I figured it would do that. I thought it was worth trying. But I'm like, how in the world? Maybe I can go up this little ledge. All of that is blocked off. Hold on. Let's go further in just to see. Nah, does that. I swear some of these things are like straight up puzzles where I'm like, I don't understand how in the world I'm supposed to get there. I haven't had one that was like that in a minute, but there have been quite a few where it's like, you have to figure out like, how in the world do I get up there? There's not an actual path. It seems like I could just come from that way though. But then, is it like a super long way around? That seems interesting if it is. But that also seems like an incredibly long way to go just to have to get to an upper level. But then again, they can make it realistic. It's like a mountain path or whatever. Doesn't seem to be the case though. Very confusing. Hold up. No, it wouldn't be that. This is like my first time coming back to this location after I had to in-game. Wow, I actually had to come all the way up here. That's crazy. That is very rare that you actually have to go. Nope, even then. Oh. Oh. Whoops. This is a weird one. I don't know how to get up there. I'll have to figure that little puzzle out. I'm gonna ride around and see how that goes. I thought he died. My thumb. He's good. We're good. All right. So the way everything I would say was handled as it pertained to that show was not done in the greatest way. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that. Whoa! All I did was back up a little. Jeez. Nice. Unfortunately, I have to actually check to make sure that even recorded. What up? Oh, frames went down for a second there. Probably because I have the replay buffer going and the actual recording. Okay. I'm gonna do something. I don't know if this is even attached, but I think I just made a Twitch clip. I have that on my stream deck, but I also have the replay buffer thing on my stream deck, and that doesn't work most of the time. So who knows? Maybe I just made a Twitch clip. But getting back to the show, the way they handled just about everything was kind of off. The main hero doesn't seem like much of a hero. She keeps screwing up. They did more teasing of stuff for the future than they did dealing with the current situation. Like it seemed like it literally up to what, the episode before last, they were doing reveals. And I guess it wasn't like the biggest reveal ever, but it was like, okay, we thought this character was the main villain, and then it was like, nope, surprise, she's kind of dead, but I'm controlling her body now, and your sister is the main villain. Surprise, surprise. And it's just like, okay, is that really, it's not that much of an astounding, twist, but they're still doing that like right up to the end, and it's kind of just like, man, I feel like it could have just been completing an actual story, and you're just kind of introducing like another pseudo important layer, because in reality it doesn't change that much that her sister, there we go, I should have known. It's always like that. Every time it's a helicopter crash, I swear it's always a ramp. I should have known that. Like all of them are like that. But it's just weird. It was like they were doing a lot of that. Woo.
God damn it.
Sliced his head off. I need a little patch. I believe. Come on. Really? Okay. So there's another Nero checkpoint somewhere, because apparently I need 18 of these effing things.
An ejector. Nero had all the good shit.
I'm definitely glad that I mostly went through the game doing this, because otherwise I would have been
Was feeling a little under the weather.
extremely annoyed, because then I'd really have to be kind of going on the hunt for them all over the place. Oh, there should be a recorder somewhere around here. That's just about guaranteed.
Let's see.
But I just don't understand what they were really doing with the show, like in the way they handled the characters. And it was like the way they did their personalities, the way they do like the half-hearted betrayals, or I mean, I guess they're really half-hearted betrayals. I guess they're just not entertaining. I guess that's it. I can't really call them half-hearted. They're full-on betrayals. Like the characters betrayed each other. They're sisters who, were once very close, and then after a crazy scenario where Billy gets bitten by a Cerberus or a zombie dog, because they are technically different, she gets infected. We thought she died, but then she was infected, and it was a weird slow infection, and it's because her blood is special. And what's your sister's name again? Billy, main character. I'm drawing a blank right now, even though I've already said it a couple of times, but her blood was special. That was like the whole thing. They were created for this purpose, and they're very special characters. And then of course goes into Jade's daughter, which is why she was able to like play the piano after like a couple months and stuff. Like they had a bunch of stuff in there where they were like, hey, we're teasing this thing, but it's just kind of like whatever. There we go. Oh wait. Oh, interesting. No recorder, just a manifest, I guess. All right, so there must be like one more. And I also forgot that they were on the map. Like on the left side there, where you could just literally go straight down your entire list and just be like, okay, well, what's here? I missed 2 Nero intel. That's fascinating. You know what? It might be in one of the later sections. Oh, you know what? I didn't think about it, but even if you get all the Nero checkpoints, it's possible that I missed one of the patches at a research site. So I might have to go through and kind of look that up, because it seems like I've completed all of them. Like go through like all the sections and stuff. Everything seems to have, all the X's are filled in. So I think I got just about all of them throughout the whole game. So I think that means the key now is to, unfortunately, go through all the effing checkpoints and just see what I got, which sucks. Well, let's do it. So I gotta run through and see if I can find a patch. So going through this game, I think is actually an interesting example of kind of like the post-apocalyptic sort of tale. This story focuses on Deacon. It's Deacon's story about how he basically has PTSD. Like, he cannot get over the fact that he lost his wife. That's like the whole thing. And I feel like a part of Resident Evil was kind of meant to be that. What in the world? Okay, I think that's just one zombie. Or freaker, if you will. Yeah. Okay. So his story, Deacon's story, is like, he has PTSD. He lost his wife. He's surviving the apocalypse. He feels bad that, he tried to save her, put her on a helicopter. I'm gonna come get you when I get my brother, to safety, because he had a messed up leg. So you go through this whole process. This man is, beaten and broken down mentally. Physically, he's the dude who gets stuff done. Like, he goes out on missions. He takes care of things. All the people at all the different camps know him. That's just what he does. Like, he does all sorts of missions. He hunts people down. He'll gather materials. He'll kind of get revenge for you if, your camp got hit. That's his thing. He goes out into the mess and he does it. And he's good at it. He survives. He's good at it. And kind of everything that he goes through, he has this little thing in the back of his head where it's just like, all I really want is my wife back. That's the one thing that like really messes him up. And then you have Resident Evil, where you have a character whose main thing is that she lost her sister. And the way they handle it is just so different. Like, there's no part of me that feels like there's this immense level of like pain and suffering from Jade's character, where she's just like, man, I lost my dad, I lost my sister, it was from this crazy scenario that ultimately, like, the crazy situation that they were in is kind of what led to the apocalypse. And so there's all this stuff about, kind of their involvement in it and their connection to it because of their dad and, everything that they'd gone through. And it's like, I feel like it's just so simple for her. It seems like it's her main thing is, I have to find this cure because I believe that they're evolving. And she was totally right. Like, she figured that part out. It was a huge deal. Of course, she had to do the classic crazy experiment where it's like, all right, I got to figure out what needs to be done and I got to do it tonight. She couldn't wait. Had to go out in the water. Had to grab a zombie out in the, the freezing water, take it in, do an experiment on it. Totally worked. Then, of course, they had the crazy situation of her daughter coming in. She told her technically to stand back and her daughter just didn't listen. I kind of don't fault that. That's just like a kid thing where, like, it's a very clear direction. Just, hey, stay over there. This thing is dangerous, but the curiosity of a stupid child. And she totally, like, just have things up. Did that ground just pop up? So, an interesting thing to kind of compare, like, Days Gone story to the Resident Evil story, because you don't feel the same thing. It's like, this is a man who's tough and he goes through life, and this version of his life now being in the post-apocalyptic world, he kind of pushes everybody away except for like his brother. and that's about it. And he mourns his wife all the time, and it's kind of like the thing that's just torturing him every single day. And then in Resident Evil, it's just she's trying to figure out the science. She kind of had already given up on her sister, and it was just an interesting situation where it was just back and forth, like, oh, your sister's dead. Surprise, she's not actually dead. Which I think was more for us as an audience than it was for the actual character. And it was just like, oh, my sister died a long time ago. And then it was just because they aren't friends anymore. But it's just like her sister's crazy and she's kind of a screw up. And I feel like that's like most of that show. It's like one of them ends up being utterly insane, and the other one just ends up being a screw up. And that's kind of just how it goes. On loop, it feels in that show. And that is very unfortunate, of course. But hold on. Okay, I can get past that. I can't tell if that's fully okay. That is fully blocked off because that's the spot that I couldn't get to. So I guess that's fully okay. That's just there just to be there. That's not an actual thing. All right. It's actually very good to know. Nope. Okay. So typically that's how you know if you can't go somewhere. If you have the lines, that means it's not a, yeah, that's like, it's not actually a point that you can get to. That's why once it does those dotted lines, it's like, okay, you can go there. But then this area is like, if you can clip through, I guess you can go there, but it's not actually a place that you can get to. So that answers that question. Same thing. Seems like you can't really get in here either. Although I would assume you technically can. This is just one of those little spots. That I would assume there's just, I don't see how you could possibly get there. Like it's all flooded. So you can't swim in this game. A tragedy. Flooded dam. Trying to, okay. So I can go back. Okay. You know what? We're going to go back there, especially since I'm so close. I highly doubt anything is actually going to happen, but it's just something interesting to check out. But, so, okay. Two moments just now. Ah, crap. Let's see what we got here. Okay, I thought they were gonna do something, but if they're just gonna stand there, then I'm just gonna do this. You know, if they just stayed on their bikes, they'd be fine. Okay, he's a good guy. Because sometimes you never know. Like, you'll come across people.
Jesse, I am so sorry for what we did to you, but you just gotta shut the fuck up. Shit, someone needs help.
Well, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever come across this scenario.
Help! I need help!
I think you're okay. That threw me off. He's just screaming, just standing there. It just makes it fun. I don't want this crappy bike. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. I'm like, oh, snap, reinforcements. Where's my, okay, I was trying to figure, I'm like, where in the world is my bike? I was getting really confused there for a second. Also didn't want to do that either. Let's
see what I can do.
Do sabotage that, and then we'll save these two guys, even though they're totally saved and saving them doesn't really do much
You're
anymore.
gonna be okay. Hey, it's not safe out here in the shit. I know where there's a camp. Camp? Yeah, where? Yeah. I'll go.
And we're gonna do that.
Head to Lost Lake. Ask for Ricky Patel. She'll take you in.
I actually kind of like these. You don't get too many of the rescue missions. I wish they actually had a lot more in the game, because I actually found them very entertaining, where you just have to go through. Because there was one time I totally failed, and
Stay off the main roads. Don't stop.
they ended up killing the person. And I mean, heck, there's nothing I could do. I totally screwed up, and they ended up killing the person. And there was also another time where the person literally disappeared. Like, I looked through my binoculars. I didn't even do a full 180 or 360 or anything. I turned like 45 degrees that way. I looked back and they were gone. Like, the hostage was gone and the person that kidnapped them was gone. And I was like, oh, well, that sucks. I needed those points. That was early on in the game too. I was like, I actually kind of needed those points and would have greatly appreciated being able to actually rescue somebody. Would have got me some money and some I guess credit with one of the groups, whoever I sent them to. So that was a heck of a little moment there. I was like, oh, I could have used those points. That would have been nice. Could have used those points for sure at the time. But alas, it did not happen. Well, let's see if I can actually get back in here. Oh, you can walk through the gate. No, no, you can. That'd be cool if you could just push this person out the way and be like, I'm gonna take that. This is interesting. This is like a little safe haven spot. That's cool. It's cool that you can come here, but you can't come all the way in. You can only like squeeze through the gate. Which makes it feel like there's something you can do here. Because I've already taken, there were bad guys here and stuff. You already come through, you do the missions and everything. They're already gone. Party. Is that a body? No, it's trash. Okay. I love how the sound effect just like instantly cut out. Also love the blinking glass.
Locked.
Sounded like an eagle. Okay, it's interesting.
Shit.
Okay, I didn't know that you could come in here, so it's interesting that they have it set up this way. It's like a super minor little thing that I would imagine there's really nothing here for me to actually do. In fact, I think I did this during the main mission. Like, I had to come in here and like shut the power off or turn it back on or something like that. And as you can see, there's really no items here. It's like a couple of things. Oh, this has a car alarm on it, which is fascinating because in the actual game, there are no, when you like come here during a mission, there are no zombie enemies. Well, that should do nothing, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, cleared this whole place out. Oh, there's maybe some leftover items. Nope, everything's empty. So I think this is just open for the sake of being open. I guess you could come back here just to gather anything that you may have left behind, but there's really nothing that you can do. Yeah, I think it's just for extra leftover items. Okay. That is so crazy. I would assume his body was there the whole time. but I also don't know. Because the whole part of this story was once you get here, this is where his wife used to work at. So you end up getting in here, and it turns out that the security guards had actually like taken over the place, and they'd been here for pretty much 2 years because the place still had power because it was run on solar energy. So like they, we went past the fields of corn and stuff, so they had food and electricity. I mean, they at least had corn and like a couple other things, I'm sure, but they were doing fine, and they actually killed people so that they pretty much couldn't come back with their families. So they were like killing people in their cars. It was kind of effed up, and like they just murdered people. Like actually, like the person that was in like the little golf cart, they killed that person. They killed off a bunch of the scientists and people that worked here, so that they didn't have to worry about basically the zombies getting in. And that's super effed up, of course, but that's why these people are like dead on the street, just dead in the cars. It's because the guards just came up and like murdered all of them before they could even leave out, so that they could protect themselves, and then just like block the whole place off. They had cameras going still. I mean, the sprinklers were on during the actual mission and stuff, but like it was just self-sustaining, seemingly. And they'd been there the whole time. Interesting. I wish they actually made this a little camp. Like they talked about that in the campaign where it was like, hey, this place has food and stuff. Like they could have easily made this an actual camp location, like a brand new spot. I'm surprised they don't do that with the story. Oh, oh, I thought that was a symbol for a second. It's just a fire extinguisher.
It's not gonna open.
Bunch of random doors that are locked. But mostly came here just to explore anyway, so it's fine. Just see what was up. Kind of shocking, like I said, kind of surprising that you could even come here. Like, it's honestly a bit of a surprise that they even let you walk back in, especially because you can't do anything. There's nothing to do here but walk around. I guess if you're being chased by a horde, you could come in here and you would technically be safe. That's, I guess, something that could happen. Randomly go up this ladder that you don't even interact with during that mission. It's just a giant thing of water. Wow. I would not have thought that. It's just like a reservoir station, station, I guess. It almost seems weird to actually build it above ground and have it be the whole system, but cool design though. It makes it look cool. I just don't really understand it because it's literally just a circle of water. So like where did the door, I guess, would technically be underground. It just seems weird. It just seems like weird design to me, but that's just me personally. Also, that buzzing sound is because the gate is actually an electrified gate. All right, a little bit of exploration. Nope, almost got it. There we go. Somebody on a motorcycle. Ah, crap. Oh. Well, let's see how this fight goes. We have like the... Oh, I guess he's winning because that was 2 strikes. Oh, these are regular wolves. Okay. Yeah, I thought that I thought those were the zombie wolves. Ooh, okay. There we go. All is right with the world. Everything's fine. We're good. Hey, now that we've done a nice little exploration there. I guess the last little bit as far as Resident Evil is concerned is I don't know what to expect for the future. We've had the movies, like the first Resident Evil movie, I still think is the best live action Resident Evil thing that we've had. And that's really sad. That is very sad. That's unfortunate in a lot of different ways. We've had 6 movies, well, 7 movies, but a 6-movie franchise, a single movie reboot.
Carlos, it's Jesse goddamn Williamson. I'm sorry. Okay, I am sorry, but this is still all bullshit.
It's interesting that he has this dialogue after it's all said and done. But, woo. But we had 6 movies in a single series, just train wreck. We had a single movie. I don't know if it's the worst. It's the one that hurts me the most, personally. Like, Welcome to Raccoon City is the one that I personally like just despise because they clearly showed a lot of effort in the references, but like there was so much that was 100% like just 10 out of 10, and then there was so much that's just like that's a 1 out of 10. And you look at the 10 out of 10 stuff and you're like, you put so much work into that. How'd you not put work into the other part too? And that's the really unfortunate, that's the most unfortunate thing about the whole thing. Where it's just like, how does that happen? How do you do? How do you do? So that's really unfortunate. The Netflix show was just bad. Like, honestly, when that ended, which it's on me for even thinking this in the first place, but for some idiotic reason, when it was announced, I thought it was going to be a limited series, and I thought it was going to be one and done, where it was going to be like, all right, here's a 1-season show, and here's the story of said show. It's the Resident Evil show. Here it is. There's everything, and then it's done. And I wish that's how it was so bad, because I would have loved for the story to have just been a set story. Like, no questions asked. Like, this is the story, and that's all there is to it. And then, of course, it ended, and it was very clear as I was going through that I was mistaken, thinking that it was going to be a limited series. Like, I mean, heck, for so many reasons, I wish I was right about that, because it would have done a lot for the story, I think, to have just been a singular, limited event story. That was weird.
Oh, Jesus, something went down. Wonder if the poor bastards had anything worth looking for.
The drawing from the kids. These people just got ripped apart. Which may be somewhat ironic, I guess, considering they're rippers. Oh, hello. Well, you don't have to come in here. Check this out. Oh, dang, he got me. I thought he was going to go through the window. He did not. Well, that's okay. Oh, dang. Let's grab some of these. I like how he's just in slow motion. We'll just go ahead and do it. Oh, there we go. And you're done. Nice. Why can't I jump over this thing? That's super weird. Oop. So, like I said, final thoughts comes to live action Resident Evil. My thoughts will always be the same story-wise. All you have to do is Resident Evil 1. There's no need for quite literally anything else. There's just, there is none. There's no reason for anything else. All you have to do is the mansion and the characters. Other than that is totally pointless. And they can do it. You don't have to put every single puzzle. I wouldn't expect them to put like, you know, there's a puzzle in the game where you have to move like the suits of armor and put them in the right spot. I wouldn't expect that. That's an over-the-top puzzle. I wouldn't ask for that. But there are other puzzles. You can do they did one of the puzzles, you know, in the movie. They kind of did the exact same puzzle. The only puzzle that seemed to get referenced is the Moonlight Sonata puzzle, which is funny. But that's what they did in the movie, and they did that in the show. And it's like, that's That's all you really need to do. There's not much, you know, like there's only a couple that you really need to do. You could do one with the clock. They could do some, you know, they could throw in some, even if it's just for Resident Evil 1, they could throw in some from the other Resident Evil games where it's like, you know, do something with some paintings. Technically the clock puzzle in Resident Evil 1 involves the paintings. So they, you know, they could do stuff like that. They could, you know, simplify some of the puzzles, or, you know, not even have the puzzles. They could honestly do it without even having a puzzle and just have it be characters going through the mansion. It doesn't have to even be the crazy version of the mansion that's in the actual game. It could just be a mansion. That's it. Nothing crazy. It doesn't have to be a puzzle laden mansion. It doesn't have to have all these intricate, insane details and stuff. It really doesn't have to do anything. It could just be these characters go to this location. And that's about it. And it's a crazy scenario. That's it. Boom, you have a movie. It's so easy. I mean, heck, you could do it as a series, which would be great if, you know, you had someone that actually cared. But, man, you know, that's just how it is. I'm gonna do this. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get myself something to drink. So hold on. I'm about to get jumped. I'm gonna pause this. Hold on. I will be right back. All right. Okay. To the game. Also to the end. So I'm actually going to end things here, everybody. Pretty much said everything I needed to say about Resident Evil. Looking towards the future, I don't know what to expect. I hope something good. But I'm never hopeful. I'm never truly hopeful. Yeah, every time a trailer comes out, it's just like, oh, okay. I had a bit more hope with Operation Man. Welcome to Raccoon City. I had some hope. The international trailer actually looked like a decent horror movie trailer, and I was like, holy crap, Resident Evil. And sadly, it was just the movie that we got was the movie we got. So I don't know what to expect going forward. At least the games will be good. There's that. So we got the Resident Evil games, and that's all I really want anyway. Like, there's no reason to ask for live action Resident Evil. So it's a tragedy. It has been, well, I can't say it has been since day one, because I still like the first Resident Evil movie. I still think the very first movie is a genuinely good, it's not like insanely epic, you know, it's not like the most amazing thing in the universe, but it's a good movie. I think it's a good movie. I like watching it. I think it's decent. It's over the top. It's definitely like a pseudo sort of B movie type situation, like just a little bit with like how over the top they get, because, you know, it's like you're going in Resident Evil and then you come out and, you know, Alice did like a wall run kick to a zombie dog's face. So it's like, it's got some B movie vibes because of that. But if it was just like, this is what it is, then it probably wouldn't feel that way. But it's like, when it's supposed to be Resident Evil, it kind of makes it feel like it has a bit of a B movie vibe, because of how over the top they get when it's like, this is still supposed to be Resident Evil though. But just want to have a simple stream, talk about the pain that is live action Resident Evil. My favorite franchise. It gets so many chances too. That's what makes it worse too. We've had so many chances. It's my favorite franchise. It gets such insane representation. And then this is how it just keeps going. It's very unfortunate. But we're going to end things here. Hopefully at some point I figure out where that last little patch is for the game, because I really do want to try this taser. That's what that was. It was a taser. I hope I get to use that thing. But this game has been fun. You should buy Days Gone. Sony effed up not giving it a sequel. I hope they change their mind. I think it's sadly and unfortunately too late, but it is what it is. Thank you all for joining me. We'd love to know your thoughts on live action Resident Evil and all of the epic disasters that we have been unfortunately forced to face. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Thank you guys for joining me. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. It's Sunday, so unfortunately, work tomorrow. Ugh. But thanks for joining me.